Battle Dress by Amy Efaw, Chapter 7. Monday, 12th July, 0550. Attention all cadets! There are 10 minutes until assembly for physical training and reveille formation. The uniform is Gym Alpha. 10 minutes remaining. Gabrielle and I stared at each other's reflection in the mirror, our toothbrush-clutching hands momentarily paralyzed. Gabrielle's eyes widened, then bulged, as if some hungry anaconda were slowly coiling itself around her. "Oh no!" she yelled, flecks of toothpaste catapulting toward the mirror. "I'm a minute caller. I'm supposed to be out there." She spat into the sink and wiped her mouth on the shoulder of her Gym Alpha. "Where's what's-her-name? Oh, why didn't she come by? Why didn't you remind me?" She tossed her toothbrush into the sink and scurried for her running shoes. "Sorry, Gab," I said. "I forgot too." I chewed on my lip, feeling helpless. Yesterday, First Sergeant Stockel had assigned each new cadet an official duty. I got laundry carrier, and Gabrielle got minute caller. Later, while Gabrielle and I were putting a final spit shine on her shoes, we heard a frantic rapping on our door. A female new cadet from 2nd Platoon, whom I'd never met, burst into our room. She slumped against our door and blew down the front of her shirt before saying a word to us. "I'm Nina Abrams," she said at last. "Since my name starts with an AB, I get to be the head minute caller this week. Lucky me." She squinted across the room at the name on our shirts. "I'm a minute caller," Gabrielle said, dropping her shoe on her desk. "What do I need to do?" "Okay, here's the deal. Your job is to count down the minutes for every formation, starting at 10 minutes before. You have to stand under, hold on." She reached into the back pocket of her trousers, pulled out a wilted pad of paper the size of her hand, and flipped through it. Gabrielle glanced at me. "Under the clock in the middle of this hallway," she jabbed the air over her shoulder with her thumb, "wearing the proper uniform for the formation." She ripped a piece of paper out of her notepad and thrust it into Gabrielle's polished, smudged hand. "You have to memorize this tonight." Gabrielle nodded. "Tomorrow morning, go wait at your clock and stand at attention facing the clock and wait. And then at exactly 10 minutes to 6, because PT's formation at 6, she looked at Gabrielle. "You're frowning." Gabrielle nodded. "Give yourself plenty of time to get there." She looked at her pad again. "Okay, so you're at your clock at 10 till. Call that out." She pointed to the piece of paper in Gabrielle's hand. "There will be 2 other new cadets at the clocks at either end of the hall. You'll all be yelling this in unison." Nina shoved the notepad back in her pocket. "Try to stay together, okay?" Gabrielle nodded again. "All right." Nina wiped her damp forehead with the back of her hand. "You have to do the same thing at 5, 4, and 3 minutes before formation. But don't go back to your room between minutes. Just wait in the hall, facing the clock." She moved closer to Gabrielle and pointed at something on the piece of paper. "When the 2-minute bell sounds, yell this. It's a little different, okay? And here, since the uniform for PT is Gym Alpha, you say that here." She pointed to the paper again. "Okay?" Gabrielle stared at the paper and licked her lips. "After you finish the 2-minute call, book it like crazy to formation. If you're late, we both get fried. Okay?" "I think so. First Sergeant Stockel said if there are any screw-ups, he'll chew my butt so bad I'll get medically discharged. It's almost taps. Look, I'll try to come by here around 0535 tomorrow morning to make sure that you're all squared away. Let's synchronize our watches." But Nina never showed up, and even though Gabrielle had lain awake whispering her lines after lights out, we had both forgotten. I rinsed off Gabrielle's discarded toothbrush and placed it in her medicine cabinet. I hoped she didn't blame me. How in the world did we forget? Gabrielle looked close to tears, and her hands shook as she picked up her shoes. I could see maybe if we overslept, but forget? This really, really sucks, Andy. An unbelievable amount. "I know, Gab. I should have remembered." I began to pace around the room, frantically straightening and tightening, needing to do something, anything but stand still. I'm so lucky. All I had to do this week as laundry carrier was collect the upper-class cadets' barracks bags of dirty laundry and haul them down to one of the sally ports for pickup. Then later in the week I'd deliver the clean laundry back to the rooms. No way could that be as bad as calling minutes. I guess I was so worried about the stupid PT test that we have this morning that I couldn't think about anything else. Except for cross-country team tryouts this afternoon. Actually, the 2 running events had been the only thing on my mind since last night when Cadet Daly made his final appearance of the day at Lights Out. "Remember, Davis, tomorrow's your big day," he had said. "Tryouts for Corps Squad and the PT test. Thought you'd like that little piece of information to spice up your dreams tonight." After I was sure Gabrielle was finally asleep, I had crept out of my bed to stretch, trying to psych myself up, trying to visualize my pace and trying to relax. I just had to make the team. "I'm really sorry, Gab. Please don't be mad at me." I had just started to believe that maybe she considered me her friend. "Where's my minute caller?" Some cadet's voice boomed in the hallway. "Oh, minute caller! Wherefore art thou, minute caller?" Gabrielle and I froze. That sounded like Cadet Osprung. I whispered as if the cadet could actually hear me. "The hugest hazen. I know who Cadet Osprung is, Andy." Gabrielle struggled with her shoes, hurling curses at the floor. "I can't get these stupid things on." I crouched beside her. "Try untying them, Gab." "No, Andy, get my brush." Her brush? Brushing hair at a time like this would have been the last thing on my mind, but I rushed back to the sink to grab it. Gabrielle was standing, her shoes now on, pulling up her socks. Come on, I can't go out there looking like this. I tossed her the brush and she yanked out her bun. Then she raked the brush through her strawberry frizz before twisting her hair back into place. Was she crazy? Gab, just get out there. Don't worry about how you're gonna— Ho ho ho, someone's head's gonna roll! Quick, she squeaked, give me a dress off. I sprang behind her and snatched the brush from her and threw it on her bed so our hands would be free. I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead. She pulled the waistband of her shorts away from her tailbone. I'm going to get kicked out, Andy. I just know it. I grabbed the excess t-shirt fabric from her sides and folded it towards her spine. Okay, now. She snapped her waistband back in place. Why does my last name start with B? Yours starts with D. That's why you didn't get minute caller. It's not fair. Now she was whining. Like that helps anything. She just needs to shut up and get out there. I did some final tucking. Her t-shirt was wrinkle-free. Done. She sprinted out of the room, slamming the door behind her. I put her brush away and chewed my thumbnail, listening. Well, 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 new cadet Brian. So glad you could come to my party. But my, aren't we fashionably late this fine morning? Then silence followed. Silence, that is, except for the quick footsteps of new cadets pinging down the hall and the music of the Ballad of the Green Beret blaring over the PA system. Silver wings upon their chests. These are men, America's best. 100 men will test today, but only 3 will win the Green Beret. Third squad had to be standing against the wall in front of Cadet Daly's room at 5 minutes before formation. I checked my watch. That gives me 1 minute 43 seconds. I gave myself a dress off and stared at the doorknob waiting. Attention all cadets, Gabrielle shouted, battling the Green Berets for superiority of the airwaves. Her voice sounded shaky and thin. There are 6 and a butt minutes until assembly for physical training. The uniform is— I winced. Oh, Gab, that's wrong. It's physical training and revelry formation. Listening to Gabrielle practice last night, I had learned the lines too. Doors banged open up and down the hall. Cease work, bonehead. What? Where did revelry go, smack? You call that minute calling? I call it a dereliction of duty, dirtbag. My watch said it was time to go. I opened my door to the hostile hallway and peeked around the doorframe. Gabrielle stood stiffly against the wall beneath the center clock, attracting upper-class cadets like death draws flies. You make me sick, Brian! I heard Cadet Osprong roar behind me. I felt guilty as I pinged along the wall away from Gabrielle. Bowing to the porcelain god sick. If there is one thing that chaps my hide, miss, it's incompetence, and you give new meaning to the word. 0618. You know, Andy, he's really hot, Gabrielle whispered to me as we stretched with the other new cadets of H Company. What? I asked, only half listening. We stood inside a huge drafty building called the Field House. Here we'd be doing push-ups and sit-ups for the PT test. You know. Cadet Osprong, 4th squad leader? Cadet Daly's roommate? She closed her eyes. The guy with the slate gray eyes? I know who Cadet Osprong is, Gabrielle. He's really gorgeous, especially when he's mad. You're really sick, you know that? She smiled and bent over to touch her toes. Cadet Osprong, the Hollywood hero. I thought he was cute too, the first time I saw him. I remembered him leading 4 other new cadets and me out of the gym across North area on the first day of Beast. But the second he'd opened his mouth, any admiration I'd had for him evaporated. There are tons of cute guys here, don't you think, Andy? I shrugged. There are tons of guys here, Gabrielle. Guys were just about the last thing I needed to worry about right now. I sat down to stretch my legs. Even the new cadets. Some of them are okay too. And Cadet Daly? I looked up. What about Cadet Daly? Gabrielle checked over her shoulder, then the other, to make sure no one could hear her. He's a doll. Doll? I had never thought about him like that. A prison warden? Yes. An overbearing tyrant? Definitely. A bullying big brother? Maybe. But a doll? Never. It was almost incestuous. I looked at Gabrielle. I just could not figure her out sometimes. Cadet Daly suddenly appeared and motioned for 3rd Squad to huddle up around him. Okay, 3rd Squad, pair up. I want you two, he pointed at me and Gabrielle, to split up. Gabrielle glanced at me before scooting next to Ping. Hickman snatched McGill as his partner right away. Bonanno, Bogoslavsky, and Ciro hesitated, looking at each other. Today, 3rd Squad, Cadet Daly yelled. Today! I felt a twinge of panic inside, just like I used to feel in gym class whenever the kids got to choose teams, fearing I'd be picked last. Take a chance, Andy. I turned to Bogoslavsky, the preacher's kid. He'd braved the hallways and the door open at 90 degrees when both sexes are in the room policy more than once to polish boots and brass with Gabrielle and me after dinner. Maybe he'd be my partner. Hey guys, Bogoslavsky said, nodding at the others. Go ahead. I'll pair up with Andy. He looked at me. Okay with you? I smiled and nodded, relieved. You're gonna count push-ups and sit-ups for your partner and write the number of completed repetitions on the scorecard, Cadet Daly was saying now. He held a stack of narrow cards. Take one and pass it around. Hardcore company! At ease! Yelled a voice above the low rumble, and a female cadet leaped up onto a PT stand at the end of the room. My name is Cadet Barrington, Hardcore's athletic officer. and I will be administering your very first cadet physical fitness test, otherwise known as the CPFT. Hooah! And other barbaric grunts erupted in the field house. Cadet Barrington smiled. I'm glad to see that you're motivated, but are you fired up? Fired up, fired up, fired up, ma'am! Okay. Her skin was so tan that her white socks seemed to glow. The CPFT is a 3-event test consisting of 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups, and a 2-mile run. The purpose of this test is to determine your level of fitness during week 3 of Beast Barracks. In order to pass, you must achieve a minimum score in each event. During the academic year, an actual grade will be attached to your score. She raised an eyebrow. But today, Hardcore, we're going to do it just for fun. More war whoops filled the house. I whooped too. It was contagious. Cadet Barrington had a very feminine voice, but it was loud and carried well. Not shrill or mousy like some of the other female cadets I'd heard. I could tell from her taut face and compact body that she was strong. She looked so confident up on that PT stand. I couldn't help but respect her. And the upperclassmen seemed to respect her too. I hope that someday I'd have her kind of confidence. The first exercise you will perform is the push-up. Demonstrator, post! She jumped off the PT stand and a stocky male cadet took her place. Assume a good leaning rest position, she continued as the male cadet got into the push-up position. Keep your body straight with hands and feet no more than, as she explained with the help of the demonstrator how each push-up must break the horizontal plane. I tuned out. I needed no reminder of how tough push-ups are. I just let the noise pass over me, trying to relax. Yes, ma'am, everyone suddenly shouted. I snapped back to attention. Good. Demonstrator, recover, she cried. The demonstrator jumped to his feet. Remember, new cadets, if your grader determines that you are consistently performing in a substandard manner, he or she will order you to discontinue the exercise. Understand? Yes, ma'am. A pretty demanding chick, I heard Hickman whisper to McGill. Yeah, McGill whispered back, but I obey her orders any time. I rolled my eyes at them. McGill smiled sheepishly. Hickman just studied me with narrowed eyes. The next exercise will be the sit-up. Cadet Barrington jumped back onto the table. During this exercise, your hands must remain at the base of your neck with fingers interlaced. Sit-ups are easy. I can do them all day long. But the push-ups? I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, trying to relax. 06:43. I blinked away the sunlight as I followed the mass of new cadets out of the field house. I felt a tug at my shirt. Hey, how'd you do? Gabrielle asked. She shoved her scorecard into my hand before I could answer. Not bad, huh? She grinned. Thank you, tennis. I looked at her scorecard. 53 push-ups and 79 sit-ups. 53 push-ups? How did she do 53 push-ups? I really was a total failure. I was certain nobody in 3rd Platoon had done fewer push-ups than I had. Probably in the entire company. Even teeny-tiny Gabrielle had blown me away. That's really great, I said, trying to sound enthusiastic. Way better than me. Really? How many did you do? I showed her my card. Only 22. But Andy, you did 101 sit-ups. That's incredible, I shrugged. No, really, don't feel bad. 18 push-ups pass, and you did 22. That's more than passing. Passing's all that matters anyway. Whatever, I mumbled. I don't want to just pass. I mean, breaking the plane, it's hard to get the hang of. Even I had a hard time. I stared at her with disbelief. Thanks a lot, Gabrielle. Annoyed, I turned away from her and toward Cadet Barrington, who was now standing beside a huge digital clock and yelling into a bullhorn. The 2-mile run is on a straight course that doubles back twice to create the length. That means you've got to turn around 3 times, so watch for the turnaround points. Cadet Barrington pointed down a blacktop road that seemed to run straight into a wooded ridge that curved softly to meet the Hudson River, gently flowing on our right. Over on our left, a grassy field surrounded an outdoor track. I wondered if I'd ever get to race on it. Don't think about that now. Concentrate. You've got to take one race at a time. You will be running by platoons, Cadet Barrington was saying into her bullhorn. First platoon will go first, then 2nd, 3rd, and 4th respectively, set off at 5-minute intervals. First platoon form up on the start line at this time. I watched the first group start until there were nothing but gray bobbing specks on the black ribbon of road. The next platoon slowly gathered together. I turned back to Gabrielle. You know, Gab, I just couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. Cadet Daly kept yelling, no, you're not going down far enough. Or no, you're not breaking the horizontal plane. I stretched my arms above my head. I mean, my chest was practically touching the ground, so... Ever think that maybe your chest sticks out a little farther than the average person's? You've got an unfair advantage. She laughed. Wish I had such a liability. I looked away, embarrassed. All right, 3rd Squad, Cadet Daly said, walking up to us. Listen up. 2nd platoon's about to start, so you've got about 5 minutes before you're up. Remember, you're going to have 3 turnaround points on this thing, so stay alert. They're marked with orange cones and upperclassmen, so even knuckleheads like Banana won't get confused. He laughed. Hand over your scorecards now and start moving toward the start line. When I gave Cadet Daly my card, he tapped the space where my time would be written. Remember, Davis, I'm expecting great things out of you. Yes, sir. After my great push-up score, I was sure he was expecting me to choke on the run. I jogged over to the start line and picked a spot at the very front. I've got to have a good start. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my jittery insides. Okay, 3rd Platoon, Cadet Barrington shouted. You'll be starting in 1 minute. Jason McGill was beside me, bouncing up and down on the balls of his feet and swinging his arms. What are you shooting for, Davis? I don't know. I haven't exactly had a chance to train lately, trotting in formation. I thought about my hollow stomach, or eat. Under 12, I hope. He raised his eyebrows. I couldn't tell if he was impressed or doubtful. Yeah? For 2 miles? That's pretty quick. Cadet Barrington began her 10-second countdown. I set the stopwatch on my watch. On the track, I usually run about 11:15, but the road's always slower. Yeah, Jason nodded like he knew exactly what I was talking about, then set his watch too. Mind if I hang with you? Okay, 3rd Platoon, ready? Go! Cadet Barrington yelled and I was off, leaving my doubts in the dust. The time for fretting was over. 5 guys blew past me right away. Just keep it controlled, steady. They're just rabbits. And as I suspected, less than a minute later one of them faded. Shortly after, I passed another. Then 2 more, then only 1 remained. Don't worry, you've got lots of time to catch him. Just relax. Keep him in sight. Jason stuck right by my side, his breath matching my own. It felt good to finally stretch it out. I glanced to the right toward the river. Train tracks bordered the road. New cadets from the first group approached us from the opposite direction and passed, kicking it to the finish. The only guy ahead of us from our group was maintaining about a 30-yard lead on us. Let's work together, I said to Jason, and get that guy. We passed a compound of cinder block buildings surrounded by a chain-link fence on our left. A foul odor settled in the air. Jason said between breaths, Nothing like sewage to keep you moving. The orange cones marking the first turnaround were now visible. The guy ahead of us was just getting to them. I checked my watch, 4:01, and checked it again as we made the sharp turn around the cones. 2 upperclassmen were pointing us back toward the direction where we had just come.
4:12.
I quickly did the math in my head. He's only got 11 seconds on us. When we hit the second turnaround, an upperclassman called out our mile split times. 5:39, 5:40. Way to go, miss. Hey, mister, you gonna let that female beat you? Jason and I were slowly gaining on the guy ahead of us. A few stragglers from the previous 2 platoons filled in the gap. We zigged and zagged around in between them, passing one by one. After we took the final turnaround, I could feel energy surging through my limbs. No more turnarounds. It's straight back from here. I picked up the pace a notch. Just a little over half a mile to go. Now's the time to start pushing it. Jason's breathing grew ragged and uneven, and I felt him drop back. Go on, he gasped. Don't wait for me. No, come on, Jason. I waved my hand forward. You can do it. I didn't want to leave him. No, can't hang. Go on, just get that guy. I thought about those 22 push-ups. Passing is all that matters anyway, Gabrielle had said. I gritted my teeth. Not for me. I wasn't going to lose to that guy ahead of us. Keep it up, I said to Jason as I pushed ahead. The sound of his breath at my side disappeared, and then the rhythm of his feet striking the pavement faded. The rest of the run blurred in my memory. I remember running through the 1 mile mark I'd passed earlier, and soon after, flying by the squat buildings with their breath-robbing stench. I remember watching the guy ahead of me grow larger with every step, his dark hair, his sweat-soaked shirt, a black thread hanging from his Gym Alpha shorts, a quarter-sized scab on his left elbow, and I finally passed his Army-issue glasses, and the look of surprise as I passed him. And I remember Cadet Daly jumping up and down, red-faced and open-mouthed, the veins in his neck bulging, and I sprinted past the clock. 11:21. I did it. I slowed to a jog before I stopped completely, doubling over, my lungs clamoring for air. Davis! I heard Cadet Daly yell. You kicked some serious booty. Way to go. Oh yeah, you've earned some big bites at breakfast today, Davis. I was too beat to smile. Yes, sir, I answered weakly. I could use some food. Just breakfast, Daly? I heard another upperclassman ask. If she were my smack, she'd get big bites all week. Oh yeah, Osprung? You deal with your squad your way, and I'll deal with mine my way. You wonder why you have nothing but lily-livered chuckleheads? It's 'cause you're soft, Osprung. Way too soft. But I knew that Cadet Osprung was anything but soft. His brand of gentleness made every new cadet dart into the nearest latrine whenever he was spotted in the hallway. Good job, Miguel, I heard Cadet Daly yell. All the way in now. I straightened up to watch Jason cross the finish line. 11:54, Cadet Daly shouted. Hooah! You see that, Osprung? Where are your smacks? Keep walking, Miguel, and take Davis with you. I'd hate to have to haul her carcass back to the barracks. I saw him smirk at Cadet Osprung. Even if she did kick everybody's butt in the entire platoon, was Cadet Daly actually proud of me? I didn't dare hope. McGill stumbled toward me, and when we both had caught our breath, we walked back to the finish line to watch the rest of 3rd Squad come in. Did you get him? Jason asked. Yeah, I said, and then I smiled big. Yeah, I did. Good, he clapped me on the back. If I'm gonna get smoked by a girl, she better be a fast one.